6 Minutes Season 5. The Season of Unknowingness. The final chapter of the 6 Minute sequel.
There are kids in this world who are different. Special.
One of them found us.
And became family.
But her time ran out. And now, that girl is missing.
In this episode, I'll be breaking down the latest episode, 6 Minutes Season 5, Piece by Piece. Hey, Review Pop listeners, it's your Landon Mueller. We're here today talking about episode 36 of 6 Minutes Season 5, and I felt this was a really great episode because we got to explore Remy's return. I thought that was really fun, and then, young Joe, I thought his performance in this episode was phenomenal, I think. And then this is also a very exciting time for Review Pop because when this comes out, Review Pop will be 2 years old, and it's crazy. It doesn't even feel like, just yesterday I had just started the podcast, and, I'm really just excited and looking forward to, making more episodes, and this is a project I really enjoy, so thank you all so much for supporting me and the show. But yeah, let's dive right into this episode.
It started as a K-pop fangirl pod before it quickly turned into a story about the interdimensional portal in her New Jersey basement.
Interesting combo. You think she's legit?
I sent an email to her contact info. Hopefully we'll find out soon.
You're getting a video call. Here.
It seems like the past 2 seasons, Remy's been introduced in a really fun way right back into the show. In season 4, we had heard Adam go into Remy's house and she said, "You're interrupting my life." Kind of similarly with the video call, I think it's fun. It's just a really nice way to introduce, the fans back to Remy and kind of her personality. And I think she really fits into the story here. And then this whole idea of it being a K-pop podcast, that clears up a lot. The version of Remy's life that we know is, the 6 Minutes world is fictional within Remy's podcast, right? 6 Minutes exists as a fictional show. And I think the idea of it being a K-pop show essentially doesn't overcomplicate what is Remy's life, so it's essentially in the 6 Minutes universe, Remy's podcast is a completely different thing, right?
You can't just be alone in the world.
It's not really my world, but there are a couple of people who could use my help. But I kinda need to stay on the DL.
DL?
Sorry. I don't want Whittier Corp to know I'm here.
Yeah, this feels like a really emotional moment in a sense, right? Just Joe reaching out to Holiday, and I think it's interesting seeing the growth of Joe, right? Even in different time periods, because in the original 6 Minutes podcast, Joe was kind of very distant and he didn't trust a lot of people, but he's always a nice guy, I think, but we didn't know a lot about him. With this younger Joe, we're learning a lot more about his personality and what he thinks about other people and kind of the type of person that is Joe Pasternak. And we obviously know Joe doesn't have any family, right? He's living alone in this cabin that's been in his family for generations and generations. And Dave had teased on 6 Minutes Day that, we'll probably see more of Katie and Joe together. And I think that's really great. And I think they need each other, even just with the tapes in the last episode.
I could see how this could freak out someone like you.
Like me? What's that supposed to mean?
Teenage boy, selfish, insecure,
Hard to compete when your girlfriend has superpowers.
I just want Monica to be okay, and I don't trust Angelica.
Join the club, bub. Wait.
I'm surprised to hear these two characters fighting, especially after they already struck up a deal, but I think is very reflective of Katie's character, just always kind of calling out what's going on around her with River, young James, and I think this is really great. I think it's just funny in general. I think James is very defensive, and he doesn't like what Katie has to say. And then this idea of Katie calling, Sam his girlfriend, I think he might be a little insecure about that. And overall, I'm excited to see the tension and where this goes. And then I'm also very surprised by Holiday using technology in this sense. She had hacked young Joe's phone line and kind of is trying to reach out.
But my goal is to learn whether Gen A serum could become the foundation to help sick children develop immunity to incurable diseases.
Not to figure out how to get your own powers back?
Both things can be true.
At least you're being honest.
In my experience with 6 Minutes, I've always thought of future Angelica being selfish and not wanting to help other people. But now we hear, Angel here trying to help kids with sickness and illnesses. And I think that's very interesting, and it kind of shows that this is a very different version of Angelica than we once knew. It seems as though she was corrupted by Dr. Whittier into doing immoral things and being the evil Angelica that we see in Season 1 and Season 2. And I think this is a version of Angelica that is honest and, she wants to get her powers back. Sure, that might be a little bit selfish, but I think ultimately it's really interesting to see this version of Angelica, right? She seems more kind and she's willing to work with young Monica here to just improve the world. And I think that's always been Monica's goal too, right? Monica likes to help people.
What did you do to Monica?
Nothing.
Yeah, right. Hey, Monica, you're gonna be okay. I got you now,
James,
okay?
put her down. She's safer here.
Not a chance. All right, hoverboard. Get us out of here!
So, it seems as though Holiday has tried to send a signal to the hoverboard to get, James and Monica out of here, and I think that's really interesting, and it just kind of shows how good Holiday is with technology. I decided to include this clip because it really shows how protective James is here over Monica. He doesn't trust Angelica, and I think that is important, right? He shouldn't really trust Angelica just based off what we've seen of her, and I think maybe she wants to help them, but at the same time, she might still have some ulterior motive. Whenever I think of the hoverboards, I always think back to Season 3 when Katie and Cyrus went to Minneapolis, and that's kind of one of my favorite 6 Minutes arcs, right? When they get kind of stranded and, they end up in a stranger's basement, or I think it was garage, and they cleaned it up. But I think it's super fun, and I just love, hoverboards. I think they're such an intrinsic part of the show, and it's really entertaining.
Brynleigh? Did you touch?
Yes. Is that surprising?
It shouldn't be possible. Not without catastrophic consequences.
What do you mean, catastrophic consequences?
I think you can probably guess.
That's really shocking, and I find that every season with, this time travel, we've seen catastrophic consequences, right? It was around the 30 episode mark when they were talking over the time phone, And that had a huge impact on, the timeline. And who knows what would happen if they didn't stop talking, right? Just every time two characters, two of the same people, talk to each other, or even, just simply communicate over the time phone, there's huge consequences. This is huge, right? What are we learning about the timeline? And is Brynleigh somehow an altered version of Guinevere Fontaine? We really don't know, but I think it's going to be interesting to see them continue to interact. I'm sure Guinevere is going to be in the season more.
To fix the world. To bring back my sister from 1989 and undo whatever broke the timeline?
Well, sounds to me like you gotta figure out what the inflection point was. The precise moment when everything changed. What was the moment when you figured out—
Adelaide Whittier was the inflection point.
Who is this version of Adelaide Whittier, and what is her intentions, right? What is she trying to do? And just the way it's described as the inflection point, I find very interesting. And I think Remy is very smart, and she knows a lot about time travel, and I just think she'll be able to help Cyrus and Brynleigh. Thank you all so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a 5-star review. Until next time, this is Landon saying peace, love, and time travel.